You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a successful motivational speaker and trusted life coach, Nancy knows how you can live the life you want regardless of the challenges you face. Although she's legally blind, Nancy's mission is to inspire others to overcome obstacles and live life full out. Call in at 800-333-0001 to ask Nancy for advice on topics such as relationships, finances, business, health, and more. Just call 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. I hope everyone is doing well. I am Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about obsession. Now, obsession is something that obviously can drive one crazy with thinking about something, doing something, the same action over and over again, but it can reach a point of being dangerous, not to only one person's self, but to the family, the friends, everyone around them. So if you are obsessed about something, someone in your life, you want to take time today to hone in on how you can get over that obsession, how you can better manage that obsession, so that you're free from that, so you're not obsessed, so you're able to, launch into new areas of your life rather than being pulled in the same direction. We're also going to be taking your calls. The number to call in is 800-333-0001, 800-333-0001. We really love hearing from you. Everybody usually asks such great questions, and we're here to motivate you and move you forward past your obsessions or any challenge that you're having. Also, later on in our show, we're going to have Adam Osman. He's going to be talking about his addiction to gambling. In fact, he spent over $1 million playing the lottery and really won nothing at the end of it all. So we want to go ahead and hear his story. And most of all, if you are inspired by today's show, if you have any questions, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. We want to support you as much as we can there as well. And of course, if you want to hear this show or any of our shows, go to livingfullout.com, click on the radio show tab, and you can hear it again. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we have a caller on the line. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for calling in. How can I help you today?
Okay. So I am in college right now, and my financial situation is always a little difficult. So my friends, they always want to go out and to eat into other places, and they're fine with spending money. But it's getting harder and harder for me to pay my rent. So how do I stick to my budget but also go out with my friends?
You know what? That's a great question. And honestly, I remember those days. It feels like a long, long time ago. I was at the University of Oregon in school. But I remember. And the thing is you have to find a way to share with your friends that, I just can't do what you're asking of me. I can't spend the money to go to the theater. I can't go out to dinner to those places. But I don't want to miss seeing you. I want to spend time with you. And so you have to pop in some alternative options. Places where you can afford to go to have dinner. Suggest that. Think of places where you're comfortable going. Or you might, at your apartment where you are paying this rent, where you're putting all your money into, you might have a few get-togethers, a potluck. Everybody brings something. That way you're not saddled with all the food and all the drinks. Everybody could just bring a bottle of wine or a snack or something, and then boom, you have a get-together, right? And then it's less expensive. And sometimes think about things that are out there that don't cost any money. Going to the beach, going to a park, working out, going for a hike. There's so many ways that we can hang out with the people in our life without spending a dime. Is that something you can do?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. And here's the thing. We've all been where you are right now. And for anybody who hasn't, in a blink of an eye, money can be gone. So really, the more you can experience how to have fun without spending a lot of money, that's going to be a greater, grander experience anyway. Okay? So just enjoy life. Go out there, live full out, throw together that potluck party we talked about. But I definitely appreciate you calling in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. So, she brings up a great point. What happens when we're financially strapped? How do we live full out? How do we still hang out with the people in our life that we want to see? That was a great question. We're going to go back to the phone lines again and talk to another caller. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi.
Hi, thank you. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I am great. So tell me, what can we assist you with today?
So I was just wondering what I could do to make myself a better candidate when applying for jobs now that I've had experience. Because it just seems that my resume doesn't pop out, and I'm not sure what else I could do to get noticed.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why should someone hire you?
I mean, I feel that I've fit many roles that I've applied for, but it seems that something's always lacking, maybe from experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just not sure if it's the wrong role or if I'm doing something wrong myself.
I don't think it's wrong. Life is meant to be lived, right? And we learn things through the hard knocks of life. We learn things through our education. So it's just constantly looking at, what more can you do? What more can you learn? If you're finding that you're applying for jobs and maybe they're requiring you to be more technology savvy, but you're not really there with that and you need more skills there, then take a class in that. Or in this day and age, there's so much in YouTube that you can study without spending any money at all. Same goes for, increasing your writing skills or becoming a better researcher or, learning how to do sales. All of that can be done through, classes, again, online research, you name it. But I want to share one more thing with you. When you go on TV and you watch maybe a cable network, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, any of those political shows, politicians are masters at redirecting the question, right? Well, we could all learn something from them in that regard. When you're in an interview, if you're asked a question that is not going to show your strengths, you want to answer in such a way that you don't ignore it. You kind of want to put out the fire quickly, but then you want to go on to redirecting the question to a positive. What is one of your strengths? Try to get off the weakness and get over to your positives. And so you can control that in the interview. And then another thing I want to tell you is what you might want to do is, email or have a conversation with 3 friends and ask those 3 friends, when you come to me for advice or for help or anything, what do you come to me for? What do you think are my strengths? And then you want to ask those friends, where do you think I need to work on parts of me, skill wise, communication, whatever ways you can benefit by developing yourself personally. And then you might even ask them, when you look at, how I do, how I walk through life, how I perform, how I am in class, how you see me communicate with people, what do you admire about me? You want to get all those things kind of written down, and when you go into your interview, you're your best advocate. You're your cheerleader, right? You want to go in there and be all about you. This is why you should hire me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds great.
So it isn't anymore about what are you doing wrong? Where are you lacking? That's all negative talk. You just want to take that and throw it out the window, okay? You just want to focus on what are your strengths? What are you good at? And yet acknowledge what could you get better at, and then do that. Get better at that. And that's something you, again, have control over doing. Okay? Awesome. Well, thank you for calling in, and, we'll be thinking of you. We hope you get that next job you're looking for.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Those are actually great questions. Again, how do we become better? How do we do better in life? Well, we're talking about obsession today, right? We've all had something in our life that we've been obsessed about. Maybe it's our weight. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's trying to get a job, trying to get an A on a paper or a test. If you allow yourself to be wrapped up in the anxiety of obsession, if you don't allow yourself the freedom to just let life unfold, it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to get even wound up from time to time, and it's okay to get obsessed from time to time, but you have to catch yourself. You have to be able to reel it back and say, you know what, this is not healthy for me. And that is when you turn to either our show for guidance or turn to a friend or a family member or someone who can help you out, because we're all in this together. It's interesting. I was coaching a client the other day, and she was fixated on this gentleman that she was dating. And she was spending all this time thinking about him, wondering what was he doing? Did she wear the right outfit? What could she do differently to move this relationship forward? And I had to tell her, I'm like, wow, you are just thinking way too much about this. just try being you. Try just letting yourself be happy and be who you are around him without all these, negative thoughts or obsessions cluttering her mind. And you know what? She did that. She did that. She set it free. She told herself every time that she would think of him, she would text a friend and not call him, not text him. And you know what? They're doing great. So by being able to catch that she was getting obsessed over him, she was able to pull it back, set herself free, and now she's in a thriving relationship. We can all do that. So I want you to stay with us because we're going to come up shortly with Adam Osman. He's going to be sharing with us his story about being obsessed over the lottery. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us today. I am Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about obsession. And again, obsession is going to come in various forms. Some people, it's a minor obsession. It's kind of right there underlining every day for you, obsessed about something in a little way. And then other times, these obsessions can take over our life and really destroy everything that we've built. And I want to talk now about our inspirational guest coming up because Adam Osman, he experienced that. He had a gambling addiction. That obsession had him spend over $1 million playing the lottery. It did cause him to lose family, friends, time, money, you name it. So we're going to hear from Adam, his story from him. So I'd like to welcome him to the show. Hi, Adam.
How are you doing today?
Hi.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy to say that you're in a better place today. But I want to take our audience back to where it kind of all started. When you were growing up, let's say teenage, early 20s, were you always an obsessive person by nature?
I believe so. I was always obsessed with small things, and especially with numbers and math. So everything I do related to numbers. And so I always had that obsession. And sometimes obsession is good, but then sometimes it takes you to a different place.
Oh, yeah. And you experienced that firsthand. Now, when did you start to get into the lottery? Because every obsession starts small and then it snowballs. But how did you get into it?
Yes. Early 80s, when I was in college, my first day in college, the kid next to me asked me if I want a part-time job, and I said yes. So I started working at a convenience store. And back then, the lottery was only $1 ticket scratches, and I would play here and there, not much at that time. But then eventually, a little bit more, it got really worse. But it started in very small, with just $1. But then it got really worse during my lifetime.
Well, and I'm just curious, did the obsession start to grow because you started to win and you started to say to yourself, gosh, I'm winning, I could win more and more and more? Or was it more because you hadn't won and you're like, if I just play one more time, I'm going to win?
I think it's both ways. I think what happened is most gambling addicts will tell you that the obsession or also the gambling addiction started small. But then, you're doing all these kind of math numbers, and then when you win, you think your method did work, and then all of a sudden you want to win more. And then the more you win, the more you want to play, because why stop there? And then the sad thing is when you are losing and down, your mind's like, well, we won last time, so we could get all these back. So even when you're winning, when you're losing, you always want to do more.
Okay.
And it gets to the point that, most people then hit the bottom.
Now, were you in your gambling, playing the lottery, were you somebody who played the same numbers all the time? Were you more of a quick pick? Were you constantly chasing your numbers to find that right combination?
Since I was always into numbers, what I would do is I will, play numbers that mean something to me, like phone numbers, the first 3 digits and the last 4 digits, and then birthdays and social security number, my phone. So I will always play numbers that have some connection to myself. Mm-hmm. But once in a while, I will also do random numbers. But mainly, I will do numbers that have some meaning to it. But then when my addiction got worse, and by that time the internet was booming, and so what I would do is I would download all the numbers that being played over this, different states. And then I will do analysis with those numbers and see which number hasn't come out, which number, how many times it came in. Then I will even play those numbers. So it was like a lifetime just juggling with numbers but also random numbers, but very small.
Well, and I'm just curious, along the way in putting together these spreadsheets and analyzing, did you ever have this moment where you said to yourself, this is such a waste of time, or I can't believe how much time I'm spending on this? Or were you so into it?
The interesting thing is, I own two gas stations, one gas station and convenience store. So most of my customers, a lot of my customers are also addicted to gambling, so they will come in and play. So I will lecture them, telling them, this is bad, you're wasting your money, don't do it. So deep down I know that wasn't good for me either. But I will lecture the other people, but at the same time, I was playing numbers. And subconsciously, you know that it's bad, but it's just the addiction part of it that overpowers you, and then you just keep doing it.
Right, and it's interesting because you were the owner of two convenience stores. You had obviously got that part-time job way back when at a convenience store, but then you went ahead and actually purchased a couple of your own, and that's what really allowed you the vehicle of being able to, increase your addiction, because now it was right there. It was you were like a kid in a candy store, literally, with all your lotto options.
Yes, because when I was working a part-time job and after I finished college, I was working another company for a while. But then eventually I bought my own two stores. And literally it's like, being an alcoholic and having a bar, owning a bar or either owning your own casino. So all of a sudden, the numbers was right in front of me. I had more income, so I had more money to play. And then by that time, a lot of the tickets came out with $10, $20, $30 scratch ticket. So then everything then went really bad because, I was there in front of the tickets 7 days a week.
Right.
And literally it's like having your own casino and being a gambling addict.
And I'm just curious, we have to go to break here in a second, but, when you were buying these tickets, you wouldn't even cash these tickets. You would buy a whole book of scratch-offs and never even do anything with it. Why does an addict buy something and not do it?
My gambling addiction, literally I was buying so many tickets that I had no time to even check them. And what I would do sometimes, I would buy so many tickets because I was also hiding from my family, my wife. So I would forget about it in that I played these money tickets. So yes, and sometimes it was just that in my mind, like, I'll check this next week because there's going to be winners in there. And then it becomes in that you have no time because there's only certain hours in a day that you could check all these tickets.
Wow. So I mean, it literally took over your life. I mean, and everybody stay with us because his story gets, unfortunately, even worse before it gets better. So Adam, will you hang on with us? We're going to be taking a short break here, and then we'll continue on with your story. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
And everybody, right now we are talking to Adam Osman. He's sharing with us about his gambling addiction. And the show topic today is obsession. So think about where in your life you're obsessed. There's lessons to be learned from Adam's story. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and today we are joined by our inspirational guest, Adam Osman, and we're talking about obsession today, and he's sharing with us about his addiction to gambling. And so I would like to welcome Adam back to the show. Adam,
sure.
Are you with us? Hi, great. So, Adam, I want to just jump right back into where we were, because you were the owner of two convenience stores. You were spending lots of money playing the lottery daily, numerous forms of lottery, the standard lotto, scratch-offs, you name it. And at what and at what point did you say to yourself, I'm losing control, like this is out of control? And did you only say that to yourself, or did you start to admit it to your wife, to any friends? Did you cry out for help to anyone?
Sometime at the end of 2007, I was playing a number very heavy, and I hit $50,000. And after the tax, I got $37,500. Within a week, I played that whole thing. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I was out of control. I wasn't eating well. My health wasn't doing that great. And I still kept playing, but I basically was crying for help, but I was still hiding from my family. And then what happened is I was gambling all the way the first part of 2008, and finally it hit me, and I had a nervous breakdown, and I just printed tickets at the store nonstop. And I think that was just my body wanted to get caught, so that way I would get help. Mm-hmm. And finally, the Connecticut Lottery came in and shut the machine down once they saw how many tickets that I printed, and none of the tickets was ever cashed. But I think that was just, I finally gave it up. I mean, by that point, I lost a lot of weight. I wasn't eating well. And then I went for a treatment program. And
Right. Well, before we go into the treatment program, I want to ask you, though. So when you won that $50,000, and you end up getting, $37,000 some odd change there, did your wife know about that winning that you had? Did she question, where all that money went? And what was your relationship with your wife and children over that time?
My relationship with my wife and children was excellent. I was a good dad. I was a good husband. My wife was really great. But she had no clue financially because I was hiding well. She was, by that time I had 3 young girls, and she was taking care of the family, while at the same, I was working full-time job. And financially, I was hiding even that winning from her. So she had no clue that I won that $50,000.
Okay.
But what happened is the Connecticut Lottery, after I cashed the tickets, and then my sale went again really high, they called me for a meeting in February 2008, and because they knew my sales was going too crazy. So during the meeting, they asked me, how come my sales are up and how come I'm winning? And basically, I told them the only reason why is because I played too many tickets. But they still let me continue to gamble till finally July 2008, after I printed the tickets at the store, and then they shut the machine down. So, to summarize, my wife had no clue. She didn't know nothing about anything till the machine was shut down.
And then she obviously found out at that point. Now, you did go into, treatment for your addiction, but you were also convicted, and you were the first person convicted in Connecticut, the state of Connecticut. Share with us about that.
Yes,
what were you convicted of?
In 2008, after I printed the tickets and I couldn't pay those tickets, which again, none of the tickets was ever cashed, the Connecticut Lottery arrested me for not paying the tickets. And my case was in court for 2 years, and finally I pled guilty misdemeanor. I became the only person in the history of Connecticut ever got arrested, while a lot of other lottery agents was delinquent over $6 million. And eventually, I was given illegal sentence of 5 years probation, which kept me away from my family. After I finished that probation, the new judge looked at my case and declared that was an illegal sentence, and I didn't have to pay the tickets.
So I'm just curious, though.
By that time,
I'm just curious. Well, hold on, I'm just curious, though. So when you got convicted and you got arrested, and you were needing to pay back that sum, how much was that? How much were they asking for you to pay back?
I printed the tickets close to 280,000 tickets, and they asked me to pay everything. So before I even got arrested, I signed it in an agreement with Connecticut Lottery to pay $4,000 a month, and I started paying that. But then what happened is when I filed it in a bankruptcy for Chapter 13 for reorganization, Connecticut Lottery then arrested me after that, and then the court ordered me, after I was convicted, to pay back the tickets.
And so they literally wanted you to pay back $4,000 a week up until you paid the whole thing off, which would have been.
The court ordered me to pay 12% of my salary till I paid the entire tickets. And again, none of the tickets was ever cash, not one single ticket. But I was still court ordered, and I was the only person ever being arrested for being delinquent.
Now, in that moment, I mean, that is where the darkest days for you truly hit, because now your secret was out. Your family had to move away. during that time. I think they had to, go stay with friends and family. And here you were having to pay back all this money. What kept you going during that time? How did you find the ability to wake up every morning, go to work, to pay those debts?
What kept me going was because I had 3 young girls. My youngest daughter was born in the beginning of 2008, and I knew that I had family I have to support. So that's really what saved my life, because I have to support my kids, and I have to be there for them as a father, and also be there for my wife.
Mm-hmm.
So every day I was struggling. And not only I was at the time I was in a treatment program getting help for my addiction, but I also had to pay back all these tickets, and I also had to deal with the criminal court. So it was too much was going at the time. But I had no choice. I had to support my family and be there for them.
Sure. Now, when the day came that they reevaluated your case and they thought that the charge was too harsh and that you did not have to pay it back, what was that moment like?
A little bit before that, first what happened is a documentary filmmaker from California found out my story,
mm-hmm.
and came in and did a movie about my story called Out of Luck. The movie was called Out of Luck.
Mm-hmm.
And when the story got publicity, then other people started looking at it. So after I finished the entire 5 years probation, the Connecticut lottery still come after me saying it in. They miscalculated it, and they had $920 something left. So I was arrested again, and for not paying that little bounce, even though they claimed that they miscalculated. And I think what happened, the new charge couldn't believe what happened in my case. And the new charge said that she wanted to look the entire case. And after she looked at the case, she found out that under Connecticut statutes, I shouldn't even be given a 5 years probation. And that was declared to be illegal sentence. And the state admitted it. But by that time, it was already too late, because I served the entire 5 years. I was separated from my family.
Are you at that point relieved because now you can step forward into your future and put that behind you, or were you angry? Did you feel angry at the fact that they had punished you so hard, and which caused your family to have to move away?
Well, as a human person, you have to be angry, because what I went through the entire 5 years, knowing that this was illegal sentence.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you have to move on and go on with your life. So it goes both ways. And during that 5 years, that's also how I got into running. With, again, being that obsessive person, running also is a good way to be obsessed. But you're right. I was angry, but at the same time, I have to move on and go on with my life.
Right. And did you trade one obsession for another when you gave up your gambling addiction?
When I went to treatment, I started reading a lot of books about addiction. And one of the things that helps us the most is that, transfer your bad habit to a good habit. And during my treatment program, I met a friend who was also a runner. And he introduced me to running. So I started running with him, 2 miles, 3 miles. And then I started running races, 5K, half marathon, full marathon, ultra marathon, which is about 31 miles.
So do you get the same high you used to get from gambling now through running?
Yes, exactly. I mean, and this is a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
So I still get that feeling, how many miles I'm running a week,
sure.
What's my pace, what age group come in the race. And at the same time, I also start running every town in Connecticut, which Connecticut has 169 towns. So I get a good feeling out of that. So.
Yeah. I have one last question for you, because we're almost out of time here. But,
Sure.
With addiction, with obsession, sometimes we slip. Have you ever slipped over this time?
Not one single time. Since 2008, I haven't gambled in one single ticket, not any type of gambling. As a matter of fact, I don't even do raffles. I don't do college sports, bowls. Not one single thing.
You're not going back. You're not going back there again. Never going back there again.
Never.
Well, Adam, I am so glad that you came on today because, again, I think we all have the ability to be obsessed about something. It could be the lotto, it could be a relationship, it could be, anything, health, you name it. But I'm really proud of you for getting over that, and you just keep running. And thank you for sharing with us your story, and we'll be thinking of you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it for inviting me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adam. And that was Adam Osman sharing with us his story about gambling and his addiction. We'll be coming right back, taking your calls. Again, I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. We'll be back. When you find yourself obsessed in life, you want to channel taking that energy and putting it into something positive so you can live your life full out. Transferring what is negative, you're obsessed about, what you're anxious about, and putting that into something that serves you, that allows you to thrive and feel free to truly live your life full out. Okay, here we are, final segment of the show. I can't believe it. This is Living Full Out, the Living Full Out Show, and I'm Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about obsession. Now, hopefully over the course of the show, you've thought about where in your life you're obsessed. What is something that, keeps you up at night, that you think about often, and really you say to yourself, oh, gosh, this takes so much energy. I got to let it go. That is what we want to let go today. You want to let go of what is holding you back so that you can walk away from today's show feeling as though you have a new sense of direction, a new purpose. Now, you can't always just move that obsession out of your life. Sometimes it's all cluttered in our mind, and literally we're thinking about it day and night. So if you are worried about being obsessed, and if it's something like gambling, if it's alcohol, if it's drugs, if it's weight, whatever it is, I want you to call a support line. There's so many great resources out there that are free. And of course, you can, talk to a therapist, you can get coaching, you can call me anytime. Again, our number at Living Full Out is 310-909-7800. You can reach me at extension 101. The biggest thing is that you get that support, because I don't want anybody to be burdened by any obsession. We're going to go now to the phone lines again and talk to one of our callers. Welcome to Living Full Out Show.
Hi, my name is Alex, and I'm a sophomore in college, and I actually just transferred schools this past winter.
Yep.
So this is my first semester at my new school, and my old school was a really small, private, religious school, and my new one is like your typical really big public school, like big football, basketball, everything like that. So it's cool. But at the beginning, I was really optimistic that I would make friends and kind of find my place because it was fairly easy to do at my old school. But it hasn't really worked out that way here, and I've kind of been having a hard time. I feel like I've been putting myself out there, but nothing has really come out of it, and I don't really want to go through college alone, I really just want to find friends that I can have fun with and experience new things with and just kind of go through this time in my life with, and I don't really know what I'm doing wrong or what I can do better in order to find these people.
That's a great question. Thank you for calling in, because nobody wants to feel alone, right? When we go to lunch with somebody, we want to go out on a Saturday or Friday night with somebody. And let me ask you a question. Where have you been trying to meet people? What have you tried so far?
So I've tried to meet some people in my classes. Like, I have some acquaintances, in my classes and things like that, but no one that's, like a super good friend or anything. I also joined a team for a little bit, and that didn't work out. I didn't really feel like anyone there necessarily wanted to be my friend or wanted to put forth the effort to be friends with someone new,
And how long did you do that?
That's pretty much it, though.
How long did you do that for, that team thing?
I did that for about 2 months.
2 months, okay. So a couple of ideas. Depending on what state you live in and where you are, one way to meet people is a site called meetup.com. Okay, it's a place where you can go online, and there's a lot of different activities, social groups, craft groups, karaoke groups, athletic groups, religious groups, you name it, anything that you want on there. And so check that out. That could be an option. Also, probably through your school, there's a lot of different clubs that you can join. And I know you tried that one, club or team already, but I would encourage you to try more of them and stretch yourself. Do something that you've never done before. It could even be a foreign language group and meeting people from a place that you'd like to travel one day. So maybe you could make some friends from other countries and then go visit them. And also, don't be afraid to ask people to go somewhere. I think a lot of times we wait to be invited by people. Step out there. You ask somebody. Ask one of those people, hey, do you want to go bowling? Anyone want to go bowling? Anyone want to go to a movie? Anyone, want to go check out this restaurant? Put it out there and let other people say yes to you. And most of all, just believe in yourself and give people the time to get to know you. My only fear is when we jump too quickly, when we are part of a team or we're part of a club and we're just not quite feeling it and we leave too quickly. We don't give people that opportunity to get to know you. It's not like when we want to marry someone, we run up to them on the street and ask them to marry us right away, right? We date, we court, right? And sometimes that's years and years and years. It's the same thing. You got to let people get to know, what do you like? What are you about? Is she funny? Is she sensitive? How do you fit in their world? So just giving people a little bit more time. 2 months, that seems like it's a good amount of time, but it also seems like you might have been forcing it a little bit. Like every time you went there,
Maybe.
Wanting people to be friends with you right away. And sometimes people feel that. They feel that neediness. They feel that desperation. So rather than going with the intention of I must meet people, I really want to meet people, have it be more about the experience. And that's why I say find a club or something that you can learn or grow personally. Or if you join a team, have it be an activity that you really like. Let that be the lead and the friends will follow. If you go into it needing, absolutely desiring and being obsessed about wanting to get a friendship out of it, you won't come off authentic. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
And personally, if I knew where you lived, I would go out with you. I think you're great. So just know that you're awesome and go out there and have fun. But thank you for calling in.
All right.
Thank
you so much.
You got it. And I want to thank everybody who listened to the show today, and I hope you got something out of all the tips and suggestions from our callers and guests. I want to thank the entire Living Full Out family here. We have Mindy and Carrie and TJ and Rich and everybody in the studio. And most of all to you, thank you for listening. If you want to hear today's show again, go to livingfullout.com, click on the radio show tab, and you can hear the show again and again and again. Here's to you all living your life full out. See you next week.